Hello and thanks for joining. Today we've got a Hornby model to look at. It's from their Great British Trains range and it's a limited edition of only 3,000. This one is number R2306 and it's called the Caledonian, and it features the locomotive King George VI, which is a Princess Coronation Class Duchess locomotive, and it comes with 3 Mark I coaches as well. This box is looking pretty good and it's very impressive as well. On the back of the box you can see that there is a coach pack available from Hornby to go along with this model set. That's not unusual. A lot of these sets have these extra coach packs if you want them, so it gives you the option to run that full length train. You can see the diagram of it there, and this is a Chinese made model as well. So inside the cardboard sleeve we have this polystyrene tray with everything included in it. We also have these instructions. Now this is specific to the Duchess class locomotive, and it gives you information about how to lubricate this model and also how to change the motor. It does actually look as though we're locomotive driven and not tender driven, so that's pretty cool. With all these models you get a certificate of authentication, which has been signed by Simon Cole, or at least his printed signature appears here. This one is number 2181 of 3,000. And we also get some history of the train here, about how it ran between London and Scotland, and it began in 1957. So the model's looking pretty good here. It looks brand new. These haven't actually been opened from the factory, so I feel really privileged to be able to have a look at this today and share this with you. We have a bag of little extra parts here. These look to be brake gear that you can fit to the locomotive and a few vacuum pipes. And we have this headboard as well, which says the Caledonian on it. Attached headboard with blue tack. I don't know why you can't just stick it on, but anyway, there you go. This looks really good actually. It's very detailed and very crisp as well. That printing is really good, and it's made of metal. I'm going to leave this in the plastic bag because I am actually going to sell this on eBay, so we're going to have to be very careful when we're taking this out of the packaging. I'll get all this out and then we can look at it in more detail. So here's everything out of the packaging. I had to be really careful there, especially with the locomotive. It was getting stuck in the polystyrene a little bit, but we managed to get it out and there's no damage whatsoever. Fantastic. So it really impresses straight away. It's quite a large locomotive too. Now, I often slag off Hornby for being a bit rubbishy with some things, and that's only because I know that they can do a really good job of making models, and I think this is a good example of one where it does actually look really good. We're going to have a look at the coaches in a little bit, but let's have a look at the locomotive a bit closer up. So this does look as though it's never been run before or even taken out the packaging. It's absolutely immaculate. It's got some fantastic details down the front here, small parts that have been added on here, a little transfer, the shed plate on the side there, and some rivet detail. We've also got rivet detail on the buffer beam, and we've got these really great buffers. They're sprung loaded as well, and they're made of metal. We have a little hook here too, and obviously dominating this class of locomotive are these wind deflectors, which have been molded in this plastic, and they have some really nice rivet detail on them as well. We've got a very fine handrail running just across the top of the smoke deflector and all the way along the side of the boiler, and that is really very nicely done, very fine, and held in these little brackets here. On the smoke box door we also have another little handrail here, which is an added in piece as well, the number printed very clearly, and also some other details there, including rivet details around the top. It is a very impressive model. Looking down the side, this part at the front is green with the little red stripe, and then the green and red stripe goes the whole way along the footplate here. There's a line of rivets around here, and the green is a nice rich colour with these red bands really nicely applied around the side of the boiler. We have this part moulded in here, which looks very convincing, and it comes down to this piece, which is an extra added on piece. You can see there's a little difference between the moulding and the extra part that's been put on, but it's barely noticeable. And we do have some parts down here which have been picked out in gold, like this part here and this part in the middle, as well as these extra pieces here, which have all been really nicely moulded. The nameplate King George VI looks really good. It's applied in the middle of the locomotive. It looks as though it's a extra part that's been added on there. And as we come down to the firebox area, the details in the moulding look really good. We've got some pipework down here as well. And the red line follows through over to the cab area. There are no problems at all with that. And we also have a red and black surround around the cab area, which has got some rivet detail and the numbers printed nicely there. Not the clearest printing of those transfers. I've seen them done a little bit better, but not too bad. We also have these handrails at the back, which are extra pieces added in, and they look really good. Flush fit glazing on this cab. Both of these two windows have that glazing. And on the top we have more rivet details and these extra parts put in here as metal pieces, which look great. Whistle's been picked out in a gold colour, but it is just part of the main moulding. It is suffering from this usual mark all the way down the top of the boiler. I don't like seeing that at all. and it is evident on this locomotive. Chimneys are nice and deep, you can't even see the bottom of them, it looks really good. And inside the cab, at the back of the firebox, we've got some moulded details in there. Not as well defined as possibly it could have been, but certainly not too bad. We didn't get any driver or fireman with this model. Nice details down here where we've got these indented holes, and we've also got this rivet detail, so that's really quite cool. We've also got the drawbar here to the tender, which has got some electrical contacts as well. And looking down below, we've got these parts here, which are an extra piece made in plastic, which have been added in. And this side has also got this pipework, which has been added on as well. The rear pony truck is made of metal, and it has some nice spring detail, and you can see that there's even rivet detail on those wheels. The valve gear is really good as well. It's nice and thin and a nice dull colour, and it looks very prototypical in size. Pistons here are quite good as well. They've got these transfers of the red lines going over it, and some rivet detail of the hatch here. All looks really quite good. A bit plain at this point, it could be prototypical though. And we've got these steps at the front. This one actually looks a little bit off centre, and it has some rivet detail on it, but it hasn't been bashed or anything, so it's just not quite right there. And then the front pony truck again is made of metal. It doesn't have any details on the side here, but the wheels do look really good. Underneath you can see the Hornby made in China, so a really impressive model. Let's have a look at the tender. So finished in a matching green colour. This is lighter than the Locomotive, but it's certainly got a bit of weight to it as well. And we have these great handrails, a red and black transfer all the way around with a very clear British Railways crest there. And at the back we have a couple of shed plates and a lot of nice detail moulded into the green. We've also got this really nice fine ladder here coming down to the buffer beam, which has got a lot of rivet detail on it. We've got a hole there, which is for the vacuum pipe that we saw in the extra parts bag, and also sprung buffers as well, which are dulled metal. Up here a couple of hatches which have been moulded really good, and also this piece here which is very fine but looks really good as well. The coal is not too bad at all, very prototypical, but it does lift out if you want to change that for real coal, and I really like that feature. And also the fact it isn't all stacked up right to the top. Here where the fireman operates, there are some hatches moulded in with good bracket detail, and we've even got these really small little handles here. They're really fine pieces of plastic, could easily break off, but it's great that they're in there. We've even got rivet detail down here as well. This part here is a nice matte finish black, and it has really fine rivet detail on the axle boxes and good spring detail as well. We've got some steps here, and we can see the wheels, which have got this nice spokes as well and a nice dull colour. You can also see where the extra parts that we saw in the bag fit in here to improve the brake gear. A coupling on the back, not in an M pocket, but it can be pulled out and changed for something else. It is missing the tension hook, but I did see that in the box. It may just be that you can run it like this and add the tension hook if you want to. So a really impressive tender as well. Let's check out one of the coaches. So the Hornby Mark I coaches have been around forever, and I'm sure they've been reviewed many times before. I think even I've reviewed these coaches. So I'll just focus on what's specific on this model. It's got this fantastic maroon colour with these yellowy gold stripes running the whole length of the carriage, a great transfer in the middle, and emergency lighting point printed there on the chassis. This one has the Caledonian, London, Glasgow name boards up here. They're a bit glossy, I'm not so keen on that. This one actually has a bit of a scratch here on this window where the door is, and I'm making the assumption this has never been run before, so that might actually be from the factory. You get two coaches like this one, but they have different running numbers, as you can see here. But apart from that, the two coaches are identical. But we do have a third coach, which is this one, half brake coach, and it has a different roof with different vents on the top. And obviously the back of this is all baggage car and where the guard goes, so that's been reflected in the model here. It doesn't have the London Glasgow name board, but it still has the Caledonian, and again it has a different number here and a different interior to the other two coaches. So overall this is a feel of a very good quality model, and also the combination of colours here seems very grown up and very mature. It's certainly a very impressive locomotive. I don't think it's ever been run in, but let's just put it on the test track and just see if it runs okay straight out of the box. So here we are on the test track, just some old Hornby third radius, and I'm using my H&M controller on 12 volts to power this as normal. So let's give it some power and see what happens. So it was a bit hesitant there at the start, but I think that's because this hasn't been run in yet. And certainly a couple of runs up and down there and it loosened up and it seemed to run no problem at all. It's super quiet and very smooth, and the gearing is just perfect as well. I'm really impressed with the mechanicals on this locomotive. It's certainly a massive step up from when it used to be tender driven. So let's put this on the scales and we'll see how much it weighs. So this model weighs 467 grams. So the Hornby Caledonian limited edition model set I think is a really good train pack. This Duchess class locomotive really looks quite impressive, and this particular one, King George VI, in its green and black livery is absolutely a winner. It's got some really lovely details on it, like the handrails, the wheels and the valve gear, and lovely little touches like the coal that you can take out of the tender, and all the little extras that have been added into this locomotive really make it quite an impressive thing. The Mark I coaches have been around for a while, but they're a solid enough model, and the execution here has been done really well. There's only a very small amount of niggly things on this, I think. The glossiness of the name boards on the coaches I don't like, but that's easily fixed just with some matte varnish. And it could be possibly just slightly a bit better around the windows. The flush fit glazing, especially at the front, isn't quite right. But really these are just very minor things for what you get here. This train pack is really impressive, with the standout part of it being obviously the locomotive. So I would recommend this pack if this era of British Railways is of interest to you. This colour combination of these coaches and this locomotive really works very well together, and it looks very professional and really quite smart. It'll definitely look really good running on your model railway layout. But that's just what I think. What do you think about this train pack? And have you had some experiences with this locomotive? Has it lasted the test of time? This one being brand new, I'm probably biased and thinking it's great, but it might not run forever and it might have some reliability issues that I don't know about. If you know any different, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what your experiences are. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel grow. I'll put the locomotive on the turntable so you can see all the way around. And in a moment, another video will appear on screen. Just click on that and I'll see you there. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See ya.